The mop's wooden handle was worn smooth from years of use, a polished record of quiet battles fought against dust, mud, and spilled chocolate milk. Samuel Hayes pushed it back and forth across the cafeteria floor, his broad shoulders moving with steady rhythm. Outside, the winter wind rattled the windows of Westfield Elementary, the sound echoing like a reminder that the world could be cold. But inside, in the dim light of the after-hours janitorial shift, warmth lived in Samuel's heart. It always did, because he carried it for two. His son, Aidan, was waiting at home, 11 years old, with eyes so full of wonder that Samuel sometimes swore they were stars. The boy had inherited his mother's soft smile, though she had passed when Aidan was only 3. A sudden illness had stolen her away, leaving Samuel with grief so heavy it could have crushed him. But instead of collapsing, he chose to carry it, to carry Aidan, to carry the world if he had to. Samuel leaned on the mop for a moment, letting his mind drift to the little apartment they called home. 2 bedrooms, 2nd floor, drafty in winter but filled with the kind of love that wallpaper couldn't show. He pictured Aidan at the kitchen table, bent over his math homework, tongue poking out in concentration. The thought softened Samuel's face into a smile. "Hey, Sam," came a voice from across the room. It was Margaret, one of the cafeteria workers who often stayed late to wash dishes. Her red hair was tied back, and her hands were cracked from years of scrubbing. "You'll wear yourself out if you keep going like that." Samuel chuckled. "Floors won't clean themselves. Besides, a little hard work never hurt." Margaret gave him a look that hovered somewhere between admiration and pity. She knew his story. Everyone did. A man working 2 jobs, raising a boy on his own, never once asking for help. Some whispered behind his back, calling it stubborn pride. But Margaret, who had lost her husband years before, recognized something else in his quiet resilience. It was love, the kind that endured storms without asking for shelter. By the time Samuel finished his shift and stepped outside, the night was cold enough to bite through his jacket. He walked briskly, his breath clouding the air, until he reached the bus stop. Most nights he worked until 11, caught the midnight bus, and trudged into the apartment long past Aidan's bedtime. But tonight, he had managed to swap shifts with another janitor, and he would be home earlier than usual. The thought made his chest warm despite the wind. The bus rumbled into the stop, brakes squealing. Samuel climbed aboard, nodding to the driver, and took his usual seat near the back. The city rolled by in streaks of neon and shadow, storefronts closed, streetlights humming. He thought about the lunch Aidan had packed for him that morning, a peanut butter sandwich, a bruised apple, and a note that said, "You're the best dad in the world." Samuel had folded it carefully and tucked it into his wallet. When he arrived home, the apartment smelled faintly of tomato soup. Aidan was curled on the couch, reading a battered library book by the glow of a lamp. His hair stuck out at odd angles, his socks didn't match, and his face lit up like the sunrise when he saw his father. "You're home early." Aidan leapt up, the book tumbling to the floor. "I saved you some soup. It's probably cold but I can heat it up." Samuel pulled his son into a hug instead. "Soup can wait. Let me see my boy first." The hug lingered, long and grounding. For Samuel, these moments were everything. They made the aches in his back disappear, made the exhaustion of double shifts seem worth it. This was why he carried the world, because the world had given him Aidan. Later, after soup and laughter and a clumsy attempt at washing dishes together, Samuel tucked his son into bed. Aidan asked, as he often did, for a story about his mom. Samuel obliged, painting pictures of her kindness, her laugh that could outshine a room, the way she used to sing lullabies on nights when the power went out. Aidan listened with wide eyes, holding each word like a treasure. When the boy finally drifted to sleep, Samuel sat quietly in the living room, staring at the dark window. He thought about the rent due next week, about the bills piled neatly on the counter, about the way his work boots were starting to fray. Worry pressed against his chest, but he refused to let it stay. Tomorrow he would wake up, go to his other job at the hardware store, and keep moving. Because that was what he did. He carried. What Samuel didn't know was that their lives were about to change. Kindness has a way of circling back, and selflessness has a way of being noticed. It would begin with something small, something he could never have predicted. A single moment that would ripple outward, touching lives beyond his own, until the weight he carried was shared by many. And it started the next morning, with a knock on the door.